Welcome back to VOR Classic with Joel, Mike, and Ed.
To me, I would rather see one cohesive brand, and not to get into the corporate like property and brand, which Mike has been making fun of me.
No, I haven't been making fun of you.
I don't know about making fun, but it is like it's just like a property, and then like what was it? There was something a while back that got me really excited, but then I could really give two rat farts about the actual subject matter. But there was remember Animorphs? Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. That
there were books.
Yeah, there were books, and then apparently they did like a TV show or something like that. And some kid who was like the daughter of like a famous writer, like a famous science fiction writer, she went ahead and just did like a fan fiction thing based on, like she saw the show and like apparently they totally did everything differently, to adapt it for TV, and characters were different and all this stuff. Now this can be easily adapted to Star Wars or any media as far as that. But I was just, it was so interesting to me that this kid, like, is like us now, but she's like 11, and so she went ahead and wrote like the true ending, or no, maybe it was even the book or something like that. She just like went off.
Okay.
And there was like this like humongous fan fiction filled rant.
Okay.
Of her rewriting this story and like making it as it should be, and like that how we all as fans, we all have this like sense of entitlement.
Right.
And oh my God, do I have a sense of entitlement?
Yeah, and it's real easy to do with something that is basically a quote-unquote property or story that's been around you your entire life. And not just in the Lord of the Rings fashion where, it's one of my favorite books, I read it once a year. No, this is like, it's there at my breakfast. It's there when I go to bed on the sheets. It's what I talk about and play with my friends, and then it goes away. Then I go to college, then I'm playing role-playing, I'm playing video games, I'm reading books, reading comics, I'm drawing it. So, I mean, for me, it's never gone away. And for a lot of us, it hasn't gone away. So that's probably another reason why it's hard to shake that entitlement. It's like, aren't we entitled to our families, our lifestyles, our haircuts, our cars?
Well, that and the fact, I think that unlike Lord of the Rings, it was something that was left wide open. And there was this ghost of a chance that something else was going to happen.
Yeah.
And because it was left open and everything that was said about was always something that was, what if and could it be?
Yeah.
That you had all of these just ideas running through your head. And I think it was Lucas that said before episode 1 came out, he's like, there's no way that this film is going to satisfy everyone.
Yeah.
The standard is, the bar is so freaking high. And here we are, we've set the bar so high. And then think about Return.
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes that far. If it moves that far from at least the quality of Return.
Return of the Jedi?
Yes. I don't know if I'm that disappointed. There are things that are embarrassing. You can say Jar Jar for years, and or just the dialogue or whatever. I still frickin' love it, and like I can't help it, and I know you do too, and that's what's bothering you so badly, and that's why like I felt like, okay, we get to talk Joel off the ledge because I know you're coming back.
Yeah.
And I know you'll always be back, and well, it's just a season.
It is a season. I think. You can compare the frustration to like a relationship. There could be just issues that will always come up in a relationship, but it's not worth pitching the whole thing. It's just because on the whole, there's enough to come back to, and there's enough love there.
I just need to step back and look at it all.
Yeah.
And find what I get. But yeah, like earlier, I was just like, kind of, dude, like even like, I didn't mean it, dude. I didn't, like on one hand, you get that smart ass, even George doesn't care about this, but then like, I can totally relate to George Lucas. This is like, as much as I want to blame him for shit not going the way that I wanted for some reason, like he's like, going out like, well, Joel thinks that we should move ahead and move Vader to the, like, what the fuck? Like I have like some serious entitlement issues as far as that goes.
Yeah, right.
But I can see how it gets like out of hand. But at the same time, you kind of, that's where the selfishness comes in that drives me nuts. Of where you find this shit that obviously doesn't jibe with like other stuff, like stuff that overwrites the book that just came out.
Yeah, right. And stuff you've known, for years.
And this is not a new bitch coming from me. This is something that every episode, every one of these like Voice of Republic episodes, I'm going off about, some retarded thing that I have no control over.
But I mean, I was talking about that at dinner too, because like my feeling for every one of these prequels, and this is of course the prequels, as is clear now, especially to our listeners. That's the turning point. That's where things have changed in Star Wars fandom and stuff. But you know, every single one I have gone and I've seen it. I've come out of the theater and I fucking loved it, and I had a great time, and I want more, and it's just constantly in my head, and I keep going, and it's like the more I go and the more I think about it, that's when it's like, you know, the glamour is over, you know, the dazzling of new Star Wars is over, and the hopes that we've placed on this shit is over, and now it's down to like, well, what really just happened here? Wait, how does that line up? That doesn't seem like that character blank, or, you know, that's when the dissatisfaction really starts to kind of set in, and I don't think I've really had that with any other franchise. So I don't know, it's kind of weird, and I don't think it is my pressures. I don't think it's me putting added pressure and trying to reclaim my childhood, you know, and saying George Lucas ruined my dreams of future Star Wars. I just character and story, you know. It doesn't matter what you do. Character and story.
I think this is the funny thing, and we've talked about this before, like in other media. Growing up, you know, Transformers and G.I. Joe and He-Man and all that. That what's pretty fucking cool when I look back at it, and this is the reason that Star Wars always stuck with me, is that if you were playing, you know, G.I. Joe or Transformers out in the yard or in the basement or in your playroom or whatever, any adventure that you had was by default better than any comic or book. Cartoon that was out at the time. You were already surpassing what their narrative skills were. And so, in a lot of ways, no adventure in the backyard could top Star Wars. You know, I mean, you were just adding to the mythos.
That's true.
And so, and when I look back, that was the only property that happened. With Transformers, I immediately rewrote and made my own stories.
Yeah,
utilizing the
same
toys.
With G.I. Joe on its own, you know, because it would be. When it first came out, I read every file card, and I read the comics, and I watched the cartoon, but it's just because it was there. I really didn't like the cartoon, but the stories were so tight, and then the comics started getting more like the cartoon. Yeah. And I'm like, why are you making these people do goofy things? That doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, then I'm like, that's not the way I want it, because that's not how you set it up.
Yeah.
You know, Major Blood isn't this frickin' jester, you know. Yeah. And things like that. Just the characters didn't ring as true. So, yeah, you go and make your own.
And so that's actually the problem that I'm having now. The stuff that we dismissed as kids, I'm having real trouble with a lot of the Star Wars stuff.
Right.
The Roan shrines and whatnot.
Yeah. And again, that kind of thing doesn't... I don't mind the expansion into new characters. It's just make them new characters. For example, I was going to wait till next week to do a review of... you know, I finished the Clone Wars, read all the Clone Wars comics, and I don't think reading additional comics is going to help me make a decision on this. It's just that it's a lot of the same themes throughout the entire series, and it's all written by like the same people. It's just they make these characters, they're new characters, but they're based on characters that we know.
Yeah.
So right there, they're already ensuring that we're going to like them, or at least, you know, enjoy reading this character, because instead of, you know, Han Solo this, it's a guy who's like Han Solo, but he's really this guy. And this guy is a little more like, you know, this person, or more like Princess Leia. Yeah. So they're just hitting the same elements and just repackaging it, and it happens like twice throughout throughout, you know, the longer story. So on the whole, I enjoyed it, but there's still, ooh, dude, you guys, do you see how hack your writing is here?
Well, it's the fact that basically everyone sort of recognizes that the formula.
Yeah, right.
And they don't want to deviate from the formula.
Yeah.
One of the things that I liked about Grievous is you said, I don't know if it was you who said this, I don't want to say that, but somebody said he doesn't look Star Wars.
Oh,
we both felt that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like, I think that Grievous is cool, but he just does not fit.
He is very, very different. But I think had I been older, or like 15 when I saw, if I were like 15 years old when I saw Empire Strikes Back, I think I would have felt that way about Yoda. And I know I would have felt that way about Ewoks and Salacious Crumb and some of the things that went on in the film. Like, just, God, yeah. No, I would have been really put off by them.
Yeah.
But he does fit. He does fit Star Wars.
I think the idea of his character fits. It just, I mean, and I've gotten used to him and I've learned to like him. But I mean, there's a lot of designs throughout all these movies that I've basically had to learn to like. That's
True.
I don't know. But hey, let's do a real quick break and then we'll jump back right into it.
To continue this episode of VOR Classic, click the link on your screen now. Right now! If you like it, please click the thumb and share it with your friend. Now, let's continue the episode.